Hi everyone, hope you are doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on your time zone. Now, the 2023 Finance Bill discussion is going on in the National Assembly. Members of Parliament are debating. And if you listen to what is coming from the discussion, you would see voices that are speaking truth to the government. And the Azimio side is actually opening Kenyan people's mind to do with that financial bill. And Wiper Member of Parliament, Robert Bui, was also debating on the same. According to him, this financial bill can be compared to a drum full of poison. And in that drum, William Samoei Ruto is trying to add in a teaspoon of sugar to make it look like good. It definitely means that there are too many bad things in that financial bill compared to the good things that Ruto is telling Kenyans are of great help in the financial bill.
Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to say that this is the most contentious finance bill since I was elected in this house in 2013. In fact, Mr. Speaker, this is so contentious that I look at it like a drum of poison. And Mr. Speaker, when I listen to the mover and the seconder, they've mentioned some amendments, they're proposing a few things that are in the bill that are okay. It's like saying that they have put a teaspoon of sugar in a drum of poison. Mr. Speaker, for me, I think this bill is something that we must reject in its totality. Mr. Speaker, the economic situation in this country is very dire. Kenyans are struggling. Kenyans are suffering. Mr. Speaker, very few Kenyans can actually put 3 or 4 square meals in a day on the table. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans are asking themselves, do we put food on the table for our children, or do we pay fees, do we buy clothes? Everything is difficult. Life is difficult. Mr. Speaker, that is one of the reasons why you saw our team of Azimio going to the streets, because we are feeling that somebody needs to start caring for the hustlers. Mr. Speaker, 1,000 shillings a few months ago could buy maybe even fill a paper bag. Mr. Speaker, today, with 1,000 shillings, you cannot even buy 2 kilos of sugar, 2 kilos of unga, 2 kilos of cooking flour. I mean, it's already finished, Mr. Speaker. So I'm telling you, it is a very bad situation.
Now, beside this, Robert Bui is going to an extent of explaining what William Ruto allies are trying to compare to what is happening in other countries to Kenya in terms of the question about taxing. According to them, Kenya is not among the countries that is highly taxed in Africa, whether to talk Africa, just within Africa. So, because of that, there is no problem of approving this financial bill because even it cannot beat those other countries. But Robert Bui has gone to an extent of expose the ignorance and lies in the financial bill being pushed by William Ruto allies. And his comparison is very simple. For him, the argument is that those countries that they are trying to compare to Kenya, because they are bringing in a country like Tunisia, talking about South Africa, talking about Morocco, and the comparison is coming in now to Kenya here. So the question is that, what is the monthly, average monthly salary in those countries before you bring that comparison to Kenya? And Robert Bui is revealing that in Tunisia, the average monthly salary is 175,000 in Kenyan shillings. You go to South Africa, the average monthly salary is 185,000 in Kenyan shillings. Do a comparison to Morocco, 263,000 in Kenyan shillings. Then now, because they want to compare to Kenya, you come here, you discover that average monthly salary in Kenya is 22,000. I mean, what is this? It is a comparison between a day and night. Things can never work that way.
I've mentioned that Kenya is not highly taxed because I think, I don't know, Tunisia, Morocco, they are taxed more. Their tax to GDP is higher. How do you compare Kenya with some of those countries? The average salary in Tunisia is 176,000 a month. Average salary in South Africa is 187,000 a month. Average salary in Morocco is 263,000 shillings a month. The average salary of a Kenyan is 22,000 shillings. How do you compare light and day? Mr. Speaker, let us talk the truth. Mr. Speaker, you know, when I listened to this team when they were speaking during the Kenya Kwanza team during the campaigns, they talked about raising the hustlers. In this finance bill, there is a proposal to tax welfare groups. Welfare groups are those chamas of our women when they put money together, Mr. Speaker, so that they can do table banking. 1,000 shillings each, they put it together, then it is taken by one. Now this team wants to tax that money, take money that these women have worked hard for, the hustler women of this country, the mamamboga, the boda. Can you people be fair to Kenyans? Members, let us stand up and oppose this bill, all of us. The voters are watching. The voters are watching. And I can tell you, those three people that you are respecting so much, when you lose the next election, they will not pick your call. And by that time, even these positions of cabinet, I don't know, CASs, we will have fought them, we will have removed them. They will no longer be there.
Now we are continuing the budget discussion, but just a quick request for those who are watching and you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. To our returning subscribers, I must say thank you so much, and again to all our viewers, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and back to this discussion. Now, using Honorable Robert Bui's argument in the National Assembly, Kenyans can now understand that a comparison that Ruto is trying to bring here through his allies can never sail. If this financial bill is going to pass, then definitely it is going to drive Kenyans into poverty line. And those who are going to be within that line, there are going to be majority. It will drive away investors. It will render Kenyans jobless. And I don't know where Ruto will be collecting taxes. You cannot even imagine to compare this. And these examples are just here in Kenya, in Africa. You can go on and compare to what is happening in the US, talking about UK, Switzerland, and all those other countries. Average salary is very high, in as much taxes are so high, and if it comes to maybe health insurance and all those other things, it's expensive. But payment is also high. In fact, even I know of companies here which is still paying, is it 15,000? 16,000 there? Kunazo zinalipa hivyo. So it's taking an average there to 22,000. So what are you saying? In fact, it could be better if it's comparing 175,000 to a Kenyan who will be maybe earning an average of 70,000. At least it can make sense. But look here, this one is not even a quarter of any of those countries that has mentioned in terms of average salary. It's not a quarter. But Ruto allies want to convince Kenyans that taxes here are not high in comparison to those other countries. The question will be, when is Ruto going to increase the basic salary of these people in this country? So start with the government as an example. Because a shilling cannot continue to lose value against a dollar, but the salary remains the same. The same amount of money a teacher used to buy unga in 5 years' time is not the same. In fact, it has doubled. Because one packet of unga 5 years ago, it was going for merely 60 shillings, 50 shillings. Today we are talking about 200 shillings. It has tripled. But the salary has remained the same. That means if the price is tripling or doubling, that salary should double to match the market price. If not, then we are strangling workers here, and yet at the same time, we are struggling to compete with the countries that we can never try to merge with. It will never. That's why you see Kenyans are leaving this country to go and look for jobs outside in the Gulf, go and check on how they're being paid. Wanalipa 1,000 real, 900 real, 2,000 real. But you compare to people who will be coming from, like, for example, Morocco, coming for job in the same countries. They won't be coming for a job of 1,000. It cannot. Tunis and all those countries, even South Africa, they will not come. So it tells you the truth here. So the reality is that this bill, like Robert Bui is saying, it is a drum full of poison. Then Ruto is just putting in a teaspoon of sugar to thinking that it is going to look sweet. But the reality is that there is icing in the cake. Inside the cake, it is poison. The poison is huge compared to the icing they are putting on top. So it should be rejected totally. If Ruto want to pass this bill and start taxing Kenyans, pay as you earn, and is increasing like that, it comes to the issue of housing, no problem. Like the way teachers said, we have no problem with the house levy, but we will only accept this if you're going to increase our salaries. So, Bui is speaking the language of teachers, what they have been talking about. Give Kenyans good salary, then tax them the way you are thinking. If you're not going to allow that, then stop. Again, make manufacturers to have an environment that will enable them to make profit in terms of reducing cost of production. And once they reduce, they will make good profit. The employers are going to be paid good. And in that way, people will be earning good salary and you can tax them. But if we have already suffocated the manufacturers, they end up giving like all the money to you through taxes. How do you expect them to come and pay the people who are working there? Watalipa namna gani? Watawaongezea mshahara siku gani? Ushuru imekuwa juu. So wewe unakatia tuko juu pesa. In terms of taxation, angalia vile wana tax mafuta pale, angalia wana tax energy pale. Then you expect what? That is one of the problem why people cannot be paid good. Because the government is taking a huge chunk of that money. But in these other countries that Robert Bui is mentioning, you will discover that the production cost is cheap. They can afford, they can pay, and that's why they can tax citizens in that manner. Ukinilipa shilingi 1260 na ukuja hata uchukue 1100, haina shida. Ukinilipa shilingi 1176, 176,000, then you come and take 76,000, you leave with 100. I have no problem. But I have huge problem if you are paying me 22,000 and you want to come for 2,000. I have a huge problem with you. There's no problem with 178,000 and you come and take 85,000. Here, South Africa. You pay me 185. You come and take 85. I have no problem because I have 100. So for them, they are comfortable with that because they are paid well. But for Kenya, this one is a poison. And Ruto want to strangle people. Because now then what is presenting is 10 times what Kibaki presented. Because Kibaki did it in 10 years. Ruto want to achieve it in 1 year. Uhuru achieved it in 10 years. Ruto amekuja tu within 1 year. He want to achieve all that Uhuru made in 10 years. That one can never happen. Even if you want to fry a frog or kill a frog, weka maji kwa sufuria, weka moto pole pole, na itakuwa ina temperature kipanda hivyo utaua huyo frog. Lakini ya Ruto, the frog will jump out of that pan. It will jump out. If it will pass, then it is going to send Ruto home. That's what I mean, and that's the truth of the matter. So they might take it like a joke, make it look like it's good, but the reality is that even if it is going to pass, then definitely people are going to reject it. And that's what Raila Odinga was saying, that if the National Assembly will not work in the interest of the people, then we will come to the People's Assembly, which is the biggest assembly and the employer of these people. And that means Ruto must go.